Across sports, fans of any non-elite team, non-big market organization often express the desire to dismantle and reconstruct, the desire for their team to enter a rebuild. They envision a rapid ascent to the top of the draft lottery, leading to young, generational talent and inevitable success. However, the reality of rebuilding doesn't always align with these expectations. At times, through the draft lottery or free agency, trades, or otherwise, teams fail to secure a star player, resulting in prolonged struggles and years of uncertainty. In addition to mismanagement and personnel errors, the pivotal factor in any rebuilding scenario is finding a star player. Here's the truth. The commencement of a rebuild only occurs when a team successfully identifies and develops a star. Take the case of Houston, for example. Despite benefiting from several free agent signings this season, their leap forward was ultimately propelled by the exceptional performance of a young, homegrown talent in Alperen Şengün. This is important when considering the Detroit Pistons, who between October and December tied a league record of 28 losses in a row. But before we get into that, we are so close to reaching 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and thank you. Now, what worsens the situation for Detroit is that they are theoretically in the fourth year of a comprehensive rebuild, initiated with limited assets after the Blake Griffin trade resulted in injury setbacks. Having not won a playoff game since 2008, the Pistons, after enduring 3 prolonged seasons of losses, with a combined record of 60 and 176, are as eager as ever for a turnaround. However, a successful rebuild is not a guaranteed result, no matter how much you lose, no matter how much you tank. In fact, the frustration of losing often hinders progress by tempting franchises with short-term gains. The key to climbing out of this challenging period lies in talent acquisition. Despite 4 years in the draft lottery and 3 years of cap flexibility, Detroit has acquired relatively little talent. In many aspects, the Pistons still resemble a team in the very early stages of rebuilding. The root of the issue lies in the fact that since the reset in 2019, the Pistons have made 8 first-round draft picks without landing a star player. While winning the lottery in 2021 brought them Cade Cunningham, a solid player who might thrive as a number 2 or 3 option in a more complementary role, and a 2022 lottery trade secured a promising and athletic center in Jalen Duren. But the combination of the 2 young players have been met with adversity. Duren has missed half the season due to ankle problems, despite an impressive start when the Pistons won 2 of their first 3 games by double digits. Yes, winning games and by double digits, I know it's hard to believe. And for Cunningham, for a few fleeting moments, he has showcased the potential Detroit envisions for him. He's delivered a career-best performance of 43 points on 16 for 24 shooting against the Atlanta Hawks. While the Hawks' defense is unimpressive, Cunningham displayed some noteworthy plays. And a few games later, Cunningham had another 40-point game against the Nets on 71% shooting. However, both 40-point games resulted in a loss for Detroit. Cunningham has shown flashes of the potential many originally hoped he would achieve, but he's also demonstrated struggles in creating separation and significant turnover issues. Beyond Cade's individual performance, the issue for the Pistons isn't necessarily poorly drafted players. I mean, it's not that the players they've drafted are bad, they just aren't the level Detroit needs to propel them back to a place of competitive relevance in the NBA. Their initial misstep occurred in the 2020 draft when Detroit selected Killian Hayes, Saddiq Bey, and Isaiah Stewart. Opting for Hayes over Tyrese Halliburton in particular remains an intriguing organizational what-if, even though 4 subsequent teams made that same choice. While Stewart and Bey, chosen 16th and 19th respectively, demonstrated decent value for their draft positions, they certainly haven't had the level of impact of other players that were still available at the time, like Tyrese Maxey and Desmond Bane. A similar narrative unfolds when examining their subsequent drafts. In 2022, Detroit secured Jaden Ivey with the 5th overall pick. While he has grappled with consistency from the perimeter and hasn't fully solidified his defensive prowess as hoped, he's far from being considered a bust. Ivey has had several games where he's shown what he may become, demonstrating solid scoring and rebounding. The Pistons also acquired a valuable asset in Duren, who was selected at 13th after Detroit traded future protected picks, a move that looks wise so far on the part of the Pistons. However, the primary challenge in that draft was the Pistons' inability to secure a top 4 pick and land a player of significantly higher caliber. A similar scenario unfolded in the 2023 Victor Wembanyama lottery, where despite possessing the league's worst record, Detroit dropped to the 5th overall pick. While Ausar Thompson and other picks have shown glimpses of potential, they haven't emerged as players capable of single-handedly ending Detroit's playoff drought. Interestingly, Detroit's only year of winning the lottery occurred in 2021, presenting them with Cunningham and Jalen Green as the top 2 players on the board. While hindsight may suggest that they could have traded down for Scotty Barnes or Franz Wagner, such alternatives were not being proposed at the time. Clearly, Detroit's plight is connected to the organization's questionable decisions. Transforming Bey into James Wiseman raised eyebrows, especially on a roster already boasting 2 young and productive centers in Duren and Stewart, who is now pushed to the 4 spot. A similar head-scratcher was trading 2 second-round picks and Trey Lyles for the privilege of overpaying Marvin Bagley. The Pistons also allowed Bruce Brown to depart without compensation and failed to maximize their cap space in recent seasons. The sole triumph during that period was signing Jeremy Grant as a free agent, then flipping him for a first-round pick 2 years later. Yet, the team's misfortune doesn't solely stem from its decisions. They have several other issues. The Pistons' woeful shooting, for example, could have been mitigated if Bojan Bogdanovic had played more than 8 games, and Alec Burks hadn't experienced a downturn in performance. Notably, both players, despite being in their 30s, probably should have been traded for assets before the season started, but the allure of making a leap in the standings seemed to entice the Pistons too much. Their struggles in ball handling whenever Cunningham is off the court would have been eased by a healthy Monty Morris, and despite their focus on centers, losing Duren dealt a significant blow, leaving inadequate replacements on the backline. While a high lottery pick is the upside of a dismal record, those hoping for a Detroit deliverer in the upcoming draft might be disappointed. Scouts are notably pessimistic about the season's crop of one-and-done players, foreseeing a lack of can't-miss stars emerging from the 24 lottery. In essence, the Pistons' drought may persist. While they are expected to improve when healthier and more experienced, it's challenging to envision them in a scenario where they become competitive anytime soon. This predicament, however, is not unique. Teams like the Sacramento Kings, who suffered a 17-year playoff drought, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, who missed the postseason for 14 years, both dealt with similar struggles before emerging to what they are today. Today, the Pistons are grouped with the Washington Wizards, Charlotte Hornets, and the San Antonio Spurs as teams who have been really bad for a few years and aren't showing many clear signs for fans to be optimistic. Fans often dream of the glorious outcomes of a rebuild, skipping the painful part where their team suffers significant losses and moving straight to scenarios where superstars or valuable draft picks are acquired. However, these instances are exceptions. The reluctance of teams to embrace rebuilding scenarios until they seem virtually unavoidable is understandable, especially in today's league with more even draft lottery odds. The rewards for fully committing to a rebuilding process, like the process-era Philadelphia 76ers, are not guaranteed. Rebuilding can sometimes result in a brief period of lean years, followed by a swift return to relevance, fueled by drafting star players. However, more often than not, it entails a far bleaker outcome. The 2023-24 Detroit Pistons epitomize the challenges and uncertainties that accompany the rebuilding process in the NBA today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe.